Brian, what's up, man? I will keep this concise as I have sent in the form where I check in about how the last week or the last month, I guess in our case, is gone. And I think the big highlights are that my body weight is still climbing and not necessarily in a super linear way. I traveled and did some great work with Mike Israetel that folks will see coming out on YouTube in the coming 7 months, rest of the year. And yeah, that resulted in some pretty cool collaborations, but also some tips and tricks as, you kind of learn things from other folks who have experience in the field. So I'm performing my leg presses a little differently, and just getting my feet turned out a little bit wider, making sure that I have the leg press all the way down. And when I have something available, putting a back pad underneath it so I can get a little more range, making sure that I'm wearing my Olympic lifting shoes. And this has enabled me just to get more range. My dorsiflexion is great, but doing all of that allows even more, and getting more degrees of knee flexion, but also hip flexion. And I'm noticing that after my leg press days, I'm also getting now a little more glute and adductor soreness, which makes me think I'm tucking into those. And certainly I'm training at a longer muscle length now by doing that. So that's probably a net win. It does mean that my loads have come down by a plate per side on leg press, but I think it's good. The trade-off is absolutely worth it. I think it's absolutely producing higher tensions at longer muscle lengths and hitting more muscle groups without taking any pull away from the quads, which I think was one of the main intentions of performing the leg presses. The other big thing, the changes. So getting back to the fact that my weight gain is intermittently coming up and going quickly, and that I traveled. The only thing that makes sense really is that I'm putting on muscle mass, and I took a video this morning. This is me recording this on Sunday, March 3rd. So I'm like 14 weeks post season. I think if I did my math right. And I'm weighing in the 87s. I even saw an aberrant 88.5, which was like really weird. I almost wonder if just like my scale was in a weird spot, because then it was back to 87.1 the next day, and it's been 87.0 or 0.1 since that. But just unless I'm really way less accurate than I think I am at eyeballing my macros and calorie intake, which I don't think I would have gotten in shape and in such good shape as I did in my prior couple seasons if that was the case. The only way this weight gain makes sense is if it's lean mass gains, because I took the video this morning because I was like, God, I'm gaining weight so quickly. I've got to be putting on body fat. Am I just not seeing it in the mirror? Am I rationalizing? And I know when I take video of myself, it enables me to get a more objective view of what's the body fat. 'Cause it puts me into the coach mindset versus kind of maybe my overly optimistic goggles looking in the mirror. But I'm not even sure I have overly optimistic goggles. I feel like coming off of contest prep and thinking about lean gaining and trying to stay lean, that if anything, I'm maybe hypersensitive to gaining body fat. But I do think I've gained some body fat, but it's not in the kind of magnitude that would explain the scale weight change. So I really do think I'm putting on a fair amount of muscle, and the loads are going up in the gym. Training is going very well. It feels like I'm stimulating muscle growth. I have hunger that's been recent, that's made me eat a little bit more, maybe trending closer to 2,700 calories on average versus 25 or 26. That to me feels more like the hunger I had in stages of my career where I was actually putting on, muscle, because it doesn't seem to be linear. It's like spurty, right? So that was a thing I noticed as well. So scale weight's going up, still staying lean, a little hungrier than normal, and not kind of that, I'm just interested in food prep, hold on behaviors. Performance is going great. I'm sore in the gym, and I'm adding these new exercises in as well for one other reason, not just it being changed, the technique of the leg press, but I'm training with my buddy Matt, who in the next video of Believe. I think it'd be fun to talk about how important a good training environment is, and a workout partner is a big part of that. But I'm now training at the AUT gym instead of the YMCA and just at home. I still train at home when my schedule requires me to, but I'm now training at the AUT gym and sometimes at our lab. And so a few things have been swapped out. Sometimes I'm doing dumbbell preacher curls instead of regular preacher curls. That's one of the more minor changes. One of the more significant changes is instead of hack squats, I'm doing this V squat, which still has a really good force curve and is very quad dominant. And then some of the back work I'm doing has been changed. There's a really good row machine that's Life Fitness that is chest supported, and there's 2 different handles. You can either grab it in a neutral grip or in a palms facing down grip, and there's an adjustable bench, so you can make it very rear delt dominant, or you can make it much more lat dominant and more shoulder extension versus horizontal abduction, which is pretty cool. So I'm using that on a few different days, and like the lat pull down, the chest press, they're just different machine variations, but in almost every case, they feel pretty damn good. Still doing some of the big staples, and other things have changed slightly. So there's no more hoist incline press. I'm doing Smith machine incline, and just, relatively minor changes, but all pretty good. And I think the training environment is one that is really good. I think having a good, motivated training partner who you get along with. I'm training with Matt 3 to 4 times a week now out of the 5 days, and I think that's just going to be one more feather in the cap that is improving my training quality and hopefully leading to great gains. So yeah, man, you've got the physique video, which is not necessarily comparative. It wasn't at the same time of day or post meal. I was a little dehydrated in it compared to, say, the prior couple ones, but I don't think we need to be doing like a monthly physique check anyway. But it is more just like am I crazy, or is my body fat still relatively low while my body weight's going up? And if so, then I guess that's not something to worry about. Things are going well. It's a pleasant surprise. And then sent along the Google Sheets. You can see my progress in the gym. I've listed another 10 weeks of training, so week 11 to week 20 now. With the new exercises slotted in, but still the same volumes per muscle group and still the same set structures, antagonist paired sets, drop sets, rest pause, etc. So it's basically the same program, just with a few exercises modded out because of that gym change. So I think everything's going well. No aches and pains beyond just DOMS that seems to recover perfectly in time for the next time I train the same muscle group. And I guess the only question I have is am I crazy, or am I up at 87 kilos now and I still look like I'm pretty low in body fat? And one cool thing is I did get anthropometry done today, just as part of one of my colleagues getting their second level of the ISAK anthropometry certification. So they did an 8-site caliper assessment on me, and all of my millimeter skin folds were single digits. So I'm still pretty lean. That would probably clock me in the, I don't know if it's accurate, but using that equation, probably closer to 10% body fat. And I look lean. So I mean, even if I'm less lean than I was, this is still a pretty damn good place to be at. I will leave it there, and just wanted to say thank you as always. I think this has been a really, really productive phase, and we're looking at now being full into the offseason, 14 weeks postseason. I don't feel like I'm recovering still, and like I said, I think that hunger is more related to just the fact that there are metabolic processes going on in my body. And the only way the numbers make sense, like I said, is if I'm putting on muscle. And every indicator we have says that I'm putting on muscle at one of the more rapid paces I have in more than a decade, which is fantastic. Since the first time I remember in 2000, the off season of 2011, when I was like, you know what, I need more volume and more frequency from upper body. And I saw these pretty rapid changes, one of those nonlinear spurts. And I feel like I'm seeing that again, but kind of all over. So couldn't be more happy, and I really feel like we're going to make some massive changes to my physique next time I get on stage that are going to, surprise people given how late stage of a bodybuilder I am.
What's up, Eric? Hope you're doing well, man. I am sitting here at the park waiting for Brewer to finish up soccer practice, and it's pretty cold outside, so I figured I would escape to the car and watch your check-in video and update and get back to you on everything. But man, it's been about as good of a post-season acute stretch that we could have hoped for, and probably the best I've seen in terms of muscle gain kind of throughout the recovery process. I think that's something that is welcomed but not expected, and to make this kind of progress, I think, is a good reminder too that when we lay out timelines and everything, and I think I mentioned this in the last update, but when we lay out these timelines, at the end of the day, the bottom line is what we care about, and it's that is heading in the right direction. You know, we're certainly, our peak off-season weight is going to be beyond what we had originally expected. I think we were budgeting for like 88, 89 by the end of the year. And, you know, we're certainly going to go beyond that and still be in a great spot body comp wise. So plenty of runway to go here. I agree. I don't think there's any other explanation besides, you know, you've put on some muscle, you know, both visually, you can see that, and the performance, you know, is trending up. So, good stuff, man. It's, yeah, we're kind of in that unicorn zone. So we want to ride this wave as far as, you know, as far as we can. Let's see what else. So the training, change in training environment in the gym, I think that's great. I think having a training partner is always, you know, for most people you're gonna get more out of your performance, more out of yourself when you're training with someone that's pushing you, and vice versa. So that's great. You know, the exercise selections, it looks like, you know, some of the equipment that they have at the AUT gym actually looks like more favorable swaps to some degree. So but I think for the most part, I mean, I trust any you know, any of the adjustments that you make. You're obviously well equipped to make those, you know, just kind of roughly matching, you know, the resistance profile of the movements. You know, there's infinite possibilities, you know, with making those swaps. But one thing I was impressed, you know, the V squat seems like it suits your structure very well. I think that'll be a good swap. That row, upper back row, biased row looks really good too. And let's see what else. Smith machine incline, I think I'm always including that in my training, at least at home. Yet I hate like barbell inclines. So I think, yeah, something about the Smith machine incline I really enjoy, and maybe it's just it suits my structure well. But yeah, man, I think, you know, getting the body fat caliper tests just kind of confirms what we're seeing visually. You know, obviously body fat estimations from that can be inaccurate, and, you know, there's a large margin of error there, but might be something worth keeping tabs on, you know, moving forward, even just the sum of those measurements and tracking that over time. You know, we don't even need to plug it into the equation, but I think that's a useful proxy, especially, especially if body weight's kind of being a little bit climbing at a pace that makes us initially a little bit uncomfortable, which I know out of the gate has kind of been the case at times here. So, but yeah, I think it's just a matter of sticking with what we're doing, and the swaps you made, I think, are all good. And, you know, we'll keep the foot on the gas, and, you know, we're healthy now, hamstrings better, which is awesome. So I don't have a lot to add. I think it's been an exceptional start to the off season, and, you know, we're settling in. And, you know, if you do take the plunge next year, you know, as early as next year, I think it's going to be a significantly improved physique, which not a lot of people can say with a, you know, 2-year turnaround. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got. You know, just keep it up. Happy with the progress you're making, man, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll chat soon. All right, man.